Let us understand how do you take an input to a Java program using scanner class. So let us get into the Visual Studio Code to understand how do you write programs to take input using scanner class.
Hey, thanks for watching our content so far. If you're new to Training Monk, we're the fastest growing technology training company and create content to help freshers like you to master the disruptive technologies like full stack development, AML, cloud, DevOps, etc. If you like the content so far, please subscribe to our channel and hit the bell icon not to miss any new content from us. Like and share this video with all your friends. Let's build your career and the community together.
So to demonstrate that, I'm now creating a new Java class and then giving this class name as taking input. Select the class and here I'm just going to write the main method. So now, how do you basically take input? So as we discussed, there are two ways of using it. One is by using buffer reader and second is by using scanner class. So we are going to use scanner class here. So how to basically take an input? Example, suppose earlier we were using byte age and then age is directly we are assigning with value 50. So what basically happens here is, so every time you run this program, the age value will be always 50. Suppose you want to use this age for performing certain kind of an operation. So you cannot do for different ages, right? For each user, the age is going to be different. So we need to take this as age as an input to their Java program. So how do you basically take? So instead of giving this value, so for that we use a scanner class. So first we understand how do we basically create this scanner class. I mean, scanner is basically an inbuilt Java class which will be provided by your Java. So you don't need to write any code. We have to just use that scanner class and then its methods to take the input. So how do we basically use this? So now to work with scanner, first we have to use the scanner. And the moment you start typing scanner, your IntelliJ IDEA will give certain kind of scanner classes which are available as part of your JDK. And you have to select the first one. So the moment you select first one, so it adds some code to your program, something like import java.util.scanner. So you don't need to worry about what is this import or what is this java.util.scanner. So the scanner class belongs to a package called java.util. So this is what is little bit advanced topics in Java. So once you move on to advanced topics, you'll understand what is this scanner class belongs to this package java.util and then how you import. But at this moment, in order to use scanner class, you should definitely add this import statement to your program. And you don't need to worry about it. The moment you type scanner, it by default will auto import it in your IntelliJ IDEA. So this feature will be available in all IDs so that you don't need to worry about it. So now this scanner, what you have to do is you have to create some variable. Okay, example, I'm just giving scanner, or you can give SC, whatever. So it could be ABC, XYZ, whatever. But the recommendation here, either you use SC or you use scanner. So now here I'm using scanner. So you have to use this statement called new scanner, right? And after this, you have to type system.in. Okay, I'll just simply explain you what basically this statement means is you're creating an object of a scanner class to read the data or to take the input. Now the question comes, where do you give the input from? Typically, we give the input from the keyboard, right? So now the system.in basically refers to an input stream where it reads the data and then will give that as an input to your scanner. So the system.in typically refers to your input stream, and you can just assume that system.in refers to your keyboard, whatever the data that you enter, and the system.in will read the data and so that it can understand how do you read the input stream data and then will assign. Now, example here, I want to take this byte as an input, right? So I don't want to assign this 50. I want this value 50 should be entered by the user. So in order to use this, so what we have to use is, so delete this and then simply I can use my scanner. Now when I use this scanner, this is basically this reference, not this one. So if you see the difference of here, this is a variable, so it completely contains where cases, and this is class, so that it starts with a capital S. You can see the difference here. So this is always a variable. So you have to use a variable here. This is called as a reference variable, which you understand in your object-oriented programming. So suppose if you're getting confused with this, you can use SC, so that here also you can use SC. So whatever is convenient for you, you can use this. So now since this is a byte data, you want to take byte as an input. Now, the moment you press dot, so by default there are certain kind of methods which are available. Now, if you can see, your IntelliJ IDEA is by default is giving next byte as a method. So what this next byte will do is, whatever the data that you enter from your keyboard, it reads the data and then it automatically converts it into a byte primitive and then will store that in a variable called age. So this entire operation will be done by your Java, so you don't need to worry about it. So whatever the data that you enter, so it by default will read that as a byte and then will store that in a age. So the only thing that what you need to be careful about is you have to enter only the byte data here as an input, nothing but from -128 to +127 only. So if you enter anything other than that, you're going to get an exception, you're going to get an error. That means in your further classes. But pretty much sure that whenever you type this, so you should make sure that you have to use next byte if it is a byte variable, right? So now I'm just going to print SR and I'll say age is, and then I'm just appending this age as a variable. Now let us run this program to see how it will ask us to enter this input, right? So now what I'm doing here, I'm just selecting the current file here and then running it here. So the moment you run here, so it is now run your program, but it does not print anything. Now you can see that it is blinking here. So means what? It is saying, hey, at line number 11, you set that scanner and you're asking next byte. So means I'm just waiting for you to enter some data here. You enter this data so that I read it as a byte data and then we'll assign it to a variable called age. So now suppose I try to enter 50 and then I enter. Now you see here what actually happened. So this stage, it reads 50 and then store that in a variable age, and at line number 12 when you're printing it, it gives a value age. So let me run it again to see. Now again it will run the code and then we'll ask you to enter an input. Okay, if it is not blinking, you just click on this console, it by default start blinking, means what? It is asking you to enter your input. So now I just enter 34 and then enter, so that you'll get your age as 34. But to the question comes, hey, when I run my program, how does the user know that he has to enter the age, right? So if it is blinking, it doesn't even know what needs to enter. That's why we need to write very descriptive messages before actually reading this data. So means before line number 11, I'm now going to write a normal system.out.println message saying that age, enter age. Okay. So now what does it mean? This is a normal message I want to print. So when the program executes, it first prints this so that the user will understand, hey, it is asking me to enter age. So then it enter age and then it reads the age and then it will print it, right? Now let me save this and then run it again to see how it works. Then when it runs, it just simply says, hey, enter age. So now I'm entering the age and I'll print it so that it takes the age. So every time you run it, it will print the message and then you enter the age, it takes the value and then will assign that value to the age. So like that, you can take the byte data. Now, if I don't give a proper input, what actually happens? Suppose I gave some number which does not exist within the range of bytes. So whenever I enter this, now you see you got some error to saying that, hey, value is out of range. So it is very important for you to enter proper ranges, right? So we'll see how do you handle these errors in our advanced concepts. But being a beginner, make sure that you're calling appropriate methods and as well as enter the appropriate data since you guys know what is the range of byte. So now moving on, suppose I want to take short as a data, right? So now I want to give a descriptive message. I'll say that enter marks or something like that. So now here I want to say short age is equals to sc dot next short. So since it is a short data, I have to use a method called short here, right? So now I just print as out, right? Oh, sorry, age is already there. So now I'm going to say marks. So now here I'll say marks plus marks. So now I'll say this, and when I run this, first it asks me to enter age. I enter age, so it prints age. Then automatically after executing enter marks, it again is blinking enter, after printing enter age, it is again asking to enter marks. So which I am entering 345 and it is enter. So now it is not taking it like this. So now all the data that whatever you want to take, you have to use the scanner and the appropriate method. Example, suppose I want to enter salary. Okay, so now here I'll say enter int salary equals sc dot next int. So the next int method takes integer and then we'll assign it to an int primitive. Now s out. Now I'll say salary is plus salary. So now this will print salary. Now let us take input for all the other primitives and let us run it all together. So now I'll say start and I'll say enter annual revenue, which is a long data. Now I'll say long annual revenue is equal to scanner next long. Now I'm printing S out to say annual revenue plus annual revenue. Now then I'll take flow data. I'll say enter product price and then float product price is equal to sc dot next float. Now I'm printing s out product price is plus product price. Now similarly, I'll take double. So I'll say s out average annual revenue, say double average annual revenue is equal to sc dot next double. Now I'll print average annual revenue plus average annual revenue. Now this is what, how do you take numbers? So but taking character is a little tricky. Okay, so now we'll see how do you take a character input. So now I'll say enter gender. So gender I want to have only one character. So now I'll say char gender is equal to sc dot. See, if you can look at, you don't have a next char or next character primitive, any method to take character as an input. You see next. So now if you can see next, you see by default it is saying what is the input that it just gives you string. It does not give you a character. So whether it doesn't mind whether you take a single character or multiple characters. So by default scanner will treat this as a string only. So if you want to store only one character, so the trickiest part here is you have to say scanner dot, you have to use a next method. Okay, on this next method you have to call another method called caret of 0. Please don't worry about this method invocation, how it works. So in order to simplify this, because we don't have a direct char method to take in input, so we're taking string. String represents more than one character. Example, we take this enter as a string, and then we need only first character, right? So that is what this method will give me, caret of 0. So whatever the string that you enter, so we need only one character. So that's the reason we're just using this caret of 0. So don't worry about this. This is what is the syntax that you have to use in order to take char as an input. So now I'm just using this out. Now I'll say gender plus gender. So then the boolean. So now I'll say as out last this or these are available. So now I'll say boolean available is equal to sc dot, we have a next boolean. So this by default will give you a boolean. So I'll just print this. Is it available? Plus available. So now I'll say this. So this is the way that you take. So let me run this code to see the output of this. It will just ask me to enter age, I enter age, then it asks me to enter months, then I enter months, which is a short, then salary, I just enter some value, which is an integer, then it is asking me annual revenue, so I'm entering which is a long, So by default, it is taking it as a long because it recognizes that it's a long data, and then by default, you don't need to do any conversions of capital L or small L. Nothing is required directly. You enter that long data, it will take it to the long data, and then the price, which is a float. So I'm just entering some value, right? So you don't need to give F or whatever. So by default, it takes that as a float data, and then will print you here. Then average annual revenue, which is double, I'm just giving the value. So now by default, we'll print it in the exponential format, and then we'll format in whatever may be the format that you want to give. Now the enter gender, which is a character. So what I do, I'll just enter capital M and then press enter. Now you see, it reads only one character and then assign it to my character. Now then it is asking is available. I'll say true or false. So then when I say true, yes, it says true. So this is what your entire code gets executed. So this is what one of the very important. So any input that you want to take by using scanner or whatever may be the primitive, right? So you have to use appropriate methods for taking the input here.